Welcome, everybody, to Pick and Roll. This is your NBA discussion and betting show that goes live every single weekday, typically at 11:15 a.m. Eastern Time. But to compensate for Pips' Croatia playing in the World Cup round of 16, we decided to delay this one so we could watch the full game, which did end up going all the way to penalties as well, where Croatia won. We'll touch on that in just a second there. But we thank you for your patience here because on this show, like I said, discussion. We'll be talking today about Anthony Davis and the Lakers, amongst other things. So plenty to discuss. We'll go to Pips' official picks as always. So we got a great episode planned for you guys. You're watching this either on the Board NBA YouTube channel, where make sure you are subscribed over there. Drop a like to support the channel. Or on the Board NBA Twitter account at the Board NBA. Make sure you are following us there for updates if we do inadvertently have to change the schedule. If you're listening to this on podcast form, it's just a little bit delayed from usual, but you can catch this after the show goes live on any podcast platform that you choose. But first things first, Croatia, they beat Japan. We talked about it right before the show went live here. I said good win. Pip said it was not a good win, but I would wager any win in a knockout stage of World Cup is a good win. How do you feel after Croatia advanced to the quarterfinal?
Yeah, I feel a bit relief. It was huge stressful build-up during the game. And yeah, I think we played probably the worst game of the tournament and still end up going through, and that's the most important thing. But yeah, I think this is the worst game of the tournament so far. We were awful, a lot of unforced error and mistakes. Probably worst game for Luka Modric of the last, I think, 10 years. For our nothing went great, but yeah, we had experience. We remained calm, and we won on penalties like we did in Russia. Like we are. So interesting fact: 6 of the last 7 knockout games for Croatia on big tournaments went to the extra time or penalties. That's like amazing, and yeah, a ton of experience, and we showed that at the end.
So previous World Cup, Croatia win 2 penalty shootouts, and they go to eventually beat England in extra time in the semifinal. That one didn't need penalties, but did need extra time. Trying to think of all of them. Obviously, the one today, there was one against Portugal at the 2016 Euros, which ended 0-0, and Portugal unfortunately won that one on penalties, but hey, this is a gritty team. They know how to pull out results at these big tournaments. They showed that in 2018 by getting all the way to the final after 3 extra times and 2 penalty shootouts. So they did their job today. I'm sure you're happy with that. What is your confidence level as they face likely Brazil, but possibly South Korea in the next round?
Yeah, prior to the tournament start, I was like Argentina or Brazil as the main guys, and with looking at how they played in their group stages, I think Brazil is like, they have their own tier of the 5 favorites. I think they played absolutely the best, and yeah, I think we are going to have a very difficult time. But we usually play better against the better teams when we don't need to rush anything, and I think we have a fair chance in that game.
Yeah, I would say the same there. Obviously, it can be very difficult if it's Brazil, which we're assuming it should be because they're playing Korea, but with much respect to South Korea. But I give them a chance against any team in the world just because they're a gritty team. They know how to defend, can hit you on the counter, and have players who can score. And even though Japan looked really good today, Perisic took his chance with a really good goal, and I think Croatia deserved to win from the second half onwards. But let's move now into the basketball stuff. If you do want more soccer stuff, you can catch the Fine Margins show, which is part of the Hammer Betting Network as well. That is the soccer show. Fine Margins on YouTube, searched up there, or at Fine Margins on Twitter. Fine Margin with 2 S's on Twitter. I'm on that show every weekday at 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time for World Cup betting. Basically similar to this show, but longer, related to the World Cup. Anyways, so basketball stuff. As you saw from the thumbnail and title, if you are watching on YouTube, I very much wanted to talk about Anthony Davis and the Lakers. They have won 10 of their last 12 games, I think, at this point. Anthony Davis, we spoke about on Friday, the MVP race. Anthony Davis' name didn't come up, though I think it probably should have. He put up Wilt Chamberlain level numbers last night. 55 points on 22 for 30 shooting as the Lakers win that one. I'm sure you've been following the Lakers and AD quite closely, but
Yeah.
what has changed this season for Anthony Davis?
First thing, I think that he's finally healthy, which wasn't the case over the last 2 seasons. And the third thing, he's like, okay, this team is not great. We won't make any playoffs or anything if I don't start to be very aggressive. And yeah, he just figured out that he must be the best player of this team for them to win. Because I remember him in Pelicans. He was like, was scoring 30 points a game, and then he came to the Lakers. And outside that bubble season, last 2 seasons, he was just passive. Like he wasn't. His usage was a career low, and he didn't do much. He was just like, I don't know how to explain, but I was huge on him or his offensive talent, but he wasn't using it as much. And now he's just like, okay, I'll shoot. If it's needed, I'll shoot 30 times a night, and that's the best Davis we can have.
Yeah, so makes sense. I mean, going to LA, LeBron is there. I mean, it's tough to take the reins off LeBron, so it's probably a little bit of backseat to LeBron James. And I would say rightfully so to a certain degree, but no secret, LeBron's getting older. Anthony Davis healthy here, and LeBron hasn't exactly been at his best so far this season. He has looked much better in this stretch as well, but I think that's partially because a lot of the load has been taken off of him by AD, who is just looking outstanding. So Lakers, big win streak. We were kind of thinking maybe they'd miss even the play-in. What do you think their chances are going forward? And I think I'll also add in this when you think about them going forward. If they are playing this well, the front office is more likely to make a trade with those picks. They have the 27 and 29 first-round picks that they are still able to trade for other assets, which they might pull the trigger on if they see the team turning for the better. So what do you give the Lakers' chances for the rest of the season?
Yeah, exactly what you said. Like them playing this good, I think will improve their chances of getting some help. And one of the things is AD is having masterful performance on the offensive end, but he's currently, I think he's the best defensive player in the league. He had, I think, 7 consecutive games of 3 or more blocks, and his defense is just amazing. Like he's locking guys down. His players are afraid to come into the paint because he's there. He's just amazing. And yeah, if he continues that level of play, if they add some guys like Hill, Turner, or maybe Bojan Bogdanovic, because they desperately need some shooting, I think they could be good. Like last 10 games, they won some great teams. They won against Brooklyn, they won against the Portland, they won against the Bucks, and that win against the Bucks was like, I think it could be a turning point for them.
Yeah.
So, and also, sorry, but Russell Westbrook playing off the bench,
big difference.
If he wasn't paid 40 millions, if he was like on 15 or 20 millions contract, everyone will say like how great he is. I mean, he just has the weight of the contract on his back, and everyone,
Of course. I mean, he's helping them win games. The Lakers seem to have found their rhythm here. It'll be interesting to see how they keep going forward. They look like a playoff team at this point. Honestly, like the way the West is so compact right now, they could find a good playoff position if they can sustain anything like this and, more importantly, keep AD healthy. But one more thing for discussion that you wanted to bring up. This was an interesting graphic that you shared with me here. Since November 14th, the teams that rank top 10 in both offensive and defensive efficiency per clean the glass. Boston, no surprise there, but Sacramento was a big one for me. We've talked about how good their offense are. Maybe defense taking a turn for the better here. New Orleans, without Brandon Ingram in the last week or so, are playing really well. They're up to second in the Western Conference. And Golden State also really figuring out their defense. Offense always a good defense, really sticking out at this point. Anything that you wanted to touch on this graphic here?
Yeah, I would just say like Boston was ranked 22nd defense like 2 weeks ago. And if they can get the defense in top 5, like they are currently in 6th place, I don't think anyone can touch them. No. But the most interesting part of this is Pelicans having the first defense. And I think a bunch of it is down there. Amazing bench. I think they have probably the best bench in the NBA. Like they are winning their games on the bench with bench unit. Like so much energy, so many talented young guys who hustle, play hard, and yeah, they just won against the Denver with Alvarado scoring 25 points off the bench and like playing amazing defense. And yeah, they smashed them with their defense. And also interesting about this is Golden State finally getting there. Like they are over the last, I think this is including the last 10 games, they are fourth defense in the league, and that's huge for Golden State.
Yeah,
they were like bottom 5 for the first month, and they're finally getting there.
So big part for their struggles was all the young players, unfortunately, including Wiseman on the bench. Wiseman is now in the G League, where honestly he hasn't even playing that well over there. Yeah. So bit of a crisis in terms of that player. Golden State, though, it seems every time he gets injured or is just in the G League, they play much better. There's probably other factors, but that is part of it. So unfortunate for him, for Golden State, looking to defend that championship on good pace here. And for just quickly on the Pelicans, for me, like that's how you rebuild a team. You don't just get one guy and then just pray that he makes you better. The Pelicans have just been consistently adding in assets and bench players and quality role players to supplement Zion Williamson since they brought him over. They made that really good trade, of course, with the Lakers that helped bringing in all these talented players like Ingram and getting all those picks. But regardless, like they've done a great job with that rebuild. So props to them. They are reaping the benefits of that. But let's move on into our Thrive Fantasy segment for today. And guys, we have an incredibly special offer for you guys going forward with Thrive Fantasy. So you guys come prop up this Thrive Fantasy season with the tool that is the daily fantasy sports and esports app for player props. You can eliminate the countless hours of research, focus on the top tier athletes, and go to their daily player prop contests. Enter for a chance to win part of the grand prize. And the grand prize for today in the NBA world is $5,000 total prizes, which can lead to a first place of $1,000, but all the way down to 64th place. You can be in line for part of that cash prize. And there is no better time to get started now with Thrive Fantasy. We have upped our exclusive promotion for sign up. Sign up right now to Thrive Fantasy with code HAMMER and receive a 100% deposit match now up to $250 rather than just a $100. We have upped that up to $250 to get you guys started with Thrive Fantasy. So how it works, you go into, as we've mentioned before, into the contest. Today, a good slate. 20 players available to choose from. Pick the over or under for their stat. Do that 10 times. Rack up points based on the value associated with the over or the under. And more points you get, higher probability you'll land that grand prize. Don't just stop there. Over $200,000 in guaranteed prizes available weekly with Thrive Fantasy. So beyond basketball, other sports have it, but if you want to stick to the NBA, still tons to be made over there as well. Remember, code HAMMER on sign up. If you're watching on Twitter, I have replied to the live stream with a link to sign up as well, so you can skip that code, but make sure you check out the Twitter account for links. I'll be posting more in the next hour or so. But to help you guys out as usual, we're going to flip it over to Pips. Maybe go through one or two of your favorite player props on this for today to get people started with their selections.
So my first one is Josh Giddey over 20.5 rebounds and assists. He has 19 rebounds and assists back-to-back last 2 games. And if we filter out the games where he sit out and played like 10 to 15 minutes and didn't play in second half, when he's playing 28 or more minutes, he cleared this line in 9 out of the 11 games with 17 average. So I think this is a great spot for Giddey against Atlanta, who lacks some players. Like there is no Hunter and Collins, and their rebounding should be way worse. And the second one is Devin Booker under 31.5 points. I know this under is a bit scary, but I think this line is just way too high. And when we look at the season, he didn't go as he has like 75% unders on this line. He's usually in the range like 25 to 30 points. And as Dallas defense is not great, but I think they will throw some double teams on Booker, and that will slow him down. And I think he can remain under this line.
So you heard from Pips. That's 2 you need to pick 8 more player props to get involved with the contest for today. Only $20 to sign up, and if you use the full bonus provided with Code Hammer, our exclusive promo with Pick and Roll on the Hammer Betting Network, you can get up to $250 in bonuses to get yourself started and get in line for part of that $5,000 prize on today's contest. So let's move in now to the official pick segment of Pick and Roll, going over to Pips to find on a pretty good slate here what he is feeling on the board. And for the first one, he is going with the Hawks again. The Hawks, a little bit of turmoil with the coaches and Trae Young this weekend. I don't know if you guys have seen there, a little bit of a clash there, but you're not going with Trae Young. You are going with the big on a same game parlay, all on his own. Clint Capella is the man. Let us hear the picks.
Yeah, so we are combining Clint Capella to score over 9.5 points and have over 11.5 rebounds against the Oklahoma City Thunder team, which allows like a ton of rebounds, especially some. I think Capella could get a lot of points through just offensive rebounds, and I think playing by the sides of DeJounte Murray and Trae Young should open up a couple of lobs for him or easy dunks, and I think he should get this line clearly easily. And if you look out a couple of last games, we had Gobert to have 6 points and 4 rebounds in 9 minutes and got thrown out.
Ejected.
Naz Reid comes for him, and Naz had 18 rebounds, and he's not a great rebounder. 18 rebounds and 13 points in 29 minutes. Then we had a game like where Jonas and Willy Hernan Gomez had 20 rebounds and 20 points combined. Then after that, Alperen Sengun had 19 rebounds and 21 points, which obviously is crazy because Capella is a way better rebounder than all these guys. Only we had Vucevic having 13 rebounds and 13 points and so on and so on. So I think this is a great spot for Capella. There is no Hunter in college who are great rebounders for wing players. And with them out and Capella, I think he should be up to play 30 minutes tonight. And I think this is a great spot for him.
Yeah, the rebounding from the Thunder you mentioned hasn't been that good. There isn't really that big there that you fear in the paint there. It's been Robinson Earl, I believe, starting as the 5 for the Thunder. So great opportunity here for Clint Capella against a team that maybe struggles to rebound. And I mean, the lob threat is always there with Capella. The best lob threat as far as centers go, probably in the NBA, just for the sheer volume of it. He's always available for those spots there. So moving on into the second one, we have another same game parlay. We're not fans of the Dallas Mavericks. We are fans of Luka Doncic, who will have to carry this team if they are to beat the Suns today, but maybe not all the way through on with his teammates. He's going to be trying to do it all himself, according to this one. Let's hear the second one. The second official pick here.
So our second pick is Luka Doncic to score over 24.5 points and to go under 9.5 assists, which is minus 125 as DraftKings. And yeah, as you said, I think Phoenix Suns are known for their defense. They will just deploy Mikal Bridges on him and go figure it out. We have one of the best wing defenders in the league, and there is no point in double teaming Luka Doncic. So there will not be plenty kickouts for Luka Doncic after the team collapse on him. He will go against them one-on-one. In the first game of the season, they played, and Luka Doncic scored 35 points and had only 6 assists. And in the last 6 games against the Phoenix Suns, in all 6, this bet was a winner. And the most he had was 8 assists. And they played the playoff series last season. And also, he had over this line of assists in only 1 game. So I think we have data for last 13 games between them. He only 1 game had over this line of assists. And the way his teammates are playing, even if he has a high number of potential assists, which is not something probable, but even if he has some high line of potential assists, his teammates are terrible shooting this season. And I think we could see like him with 6 to 7 assists tonight and 30 plus points.
Yeah, I've said that this Mavericks team is one of the worst in the NBA, but doesn't have Luka Doncic. It does, but he's gonna have to rely on his teammates to hit shots there. So just going for the points on that same game parlay. Quickly before we recap the picks, if it does shift off of the 9.5 for Capella, do you still feel comfortable with a 10.5 for somebody else to tail on this bet? It'd be 10.5 points over and 11.5 rebounds. What would you think about that?
Yeah, I think you are getting the better price. So I would be okay up to 12 plus 12 plus on both points and rebounds. But yeah, we're probably getting plus money on that. So that's great.
So there you go. Let's recap the picks. They're still available, even if you want to get a better number this one. But the official pick from Pips is Thunder at Hawks, same game parlay featuring Clint Capella getting over 9.5 points. It'll be listed probably as 10 plus points and over 11.5 rebounds, 12 plus rebounds. That's minus 120 at FanDuel. Go grab that one and go to the Suns at the Mavericks, a same game parlay involving Luka Doncic to go over 24.5 points, but under 9.5 assists. Looking to see him do it on his own against Phoenix. Rematch of that famous Game 7 from last season where the Mavericks won by 400 points against the Suns. That is minus 125 at DraftKings. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's Pick and Roll. Had some good discussion. There's still plenty of World Cup betting content on the Hammer Betting Network to choose if you want more sports betting content in your life. I'll be on Fine Margins today, as I mentioned earlier, at Fine Margins on Twitter with 2 S's and on the Fine Margins YouTube channel, 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time. Check me out over there. But for this show, we're back to normal time for the rest of the week, 11:15 a.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you tune in on the Board NBA YouTube channel by subscribing and at the Board NBA on Twitter. But as you see from the comments, we like to interact with them, so we'd really appreciate it if you did tune in on YouTube instead of Twitter to get involved with the chat here. Every time the Twitter live goes up, I also have the YouTube link for you guys to check out to make it super easy to get involved. And finally, Thrive Fantasy, 100% deposit match up to $250 now with code HAMMER. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Let's grab some winners today after last week's winning week, but it's a new week. Let's continue to build.